Hi! Oh my gosh, sorry it's taking me so long. After a hurricane doesn't come, then you have to put all the stuff back. We're still halfway. But now, took a shower. It is Monday, the 9th. It's like 5 in the morning. So let's start the story. Let's continue. What were we reading? Attack of the Shark-Headed Zombie. And we left on chapter 4. Aha. So, chapter 4 is called Halfway House. After a few seconds, the alarm stopped. The house was silent. Stunner, Henry said. Kit and Henry laid on the carpet in the front hall, trying to catch their breath. What just happened? Kit finally said. He stood up slowly. His baseball cap had turned around when he fell. He fixed it and looked around the room. It was empty, except for an old chair and a coat rack in the corner. Kit ran his hand over the wall where the front door used to be. The wall was smooth and solid. Where's the door? Kit asked. And the windows? I don't know. Henry got to his feet too. Probably the alarm made them disappear. You know, to protect whatever's inside the house. It must be some kind of magic. That's crazy, Kit said. There's no such thing as magic. Blam! A sudden pounding on the wall next to Kit made him jerk back. The zombie was on the other side of the wall, trying to get inside. Blam! 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 The wall shook but remained sturdy. A shark-headed zombie is on the porch, and the front door just vanished, Henry said. Ready to change your mind about magic, kids? Okay, Kit said. Maybe you're right. Maybe there is magic. His stomach was flip-flopping like crazy. Don't panic, Henry said. It will take time for the zombie to break through. We'll be okay for a while. Kit looked to see if Henry was scratching his chin. He wasn't. Kit felt a little bit better, knowing Henry was telling the truth. We need to come up with a plan to get out of the house, Henry said. Thanks to the alarm, the door and windows are gone. We're trapped. Kit stopped for a second. I have an idea, he said. He held up a note from Mr. Sigam. See what Mr. Sigam said? He'll take us home when we finish the to-do list. Henry snapped his fingers. That's it. We just have to do all the jobs on the list, and Mr. Sigam will come back and get us out of here. They both leaned over the note and read the jobs Mr. Sigam had left for them. They scratched up Weed the Garden, because that's what they just did. So now, next was bring the box of light bulbs down from the attic. And then, after that, they have to battle and defeat the shark-headed zombie and sweep the garage. Okay, Kit said. We weed the garden, so that's done. The next thing we have to do is bring the light bulbs down from the attic. Then, battle and defeat the shark-headed zombie, Henry said. Skipping ahead. But if the zombie is magical, we'll need magic to fight it. Like a spell. Or maybe a wand. A wand, Kit said. At the end of the note, Mr. Sigam said there's an extra wand in the kitchen sink. Where's the kitchen? Both boys turned to gaze down the long hall. Oh, wait, don't eat my box. That's Minnie. Oh, she's eating my boxes. No, Minnie. Minnie. Oh, Lord. There she goes. Anywho. Both boys turned to gaze down the long hallway that led out of the front room. They could see the refrigerator through a doorway at the end of the hall. Let's go, Henry said, already moving. Kids followed close on Henry's heels. He couldn't wait to get away from the zombie pounding on the wall. The instant they left the room, something strange happened. The doorway they had just passed through shimmered. Then it vanished and became part of the wall. They walked through the doorway and it happened again. The doorway was gone and a wall stood in its place. Must be part of the alarm system, Kit said. I bet every time we go through an opening, it disappears. We can't go back the way we came. Oh my gosh. We better stick close together, Henry said. If I go through a doorway without you and it fades away, we'll be split up. The boys walked through the last doorway into the kitchen at the same time. They watched the door turn into a wall too. Minnie. Minnie. Look, I'm trying to paint something on a canvas. It's really big. It's like 30 by 30, I think. I don't know. Anyhow. I don't know where to put it. Okay. Where were we? The kitchen was messy, but looked pretty normal. It had an old stove, a counter stacked with dirty dishes, and the big gray refrigerator. Another door was on the other side of the room. Kids looked for a phone to call for help. There wasn't one, but he spotted something else. A thick, dusty book sat on the kitchen table. Kids went over to it and read the cover. The book was called How to Zap Anything. A bookmark was stuck inside. Kids flipped to the marked page and read it. Zap a zombie. Step 1. Stand on one foot. Step 2. Wave the wand. Step 3. Now say... And it didn't say anything else. Oh, I forgot to turn this light. I don't know if that's better. Look at the picture. Whoa, look at this huge book. The kitchen looked really dark. The rest of the steps were gone. The page was torn. It was almost as if something had taken a bite out of it. You get to see this, Henry, Kid said. Mr. Segan found a spell to zap the zombie with the wand. But it's missing the most important part of... Ah! Henry interrupted. He was standing by the corner with his back to Keats. Keats jumped. What? He demanded. What is it now? Oh, man. This is just nasty. Henry held up a plate covered in furry mold. When's the last time Mr. Segan washed the dishes? You scare me to death. Keats shook his head. Get serious, Henry. We have to find the wand. It must be in the sink, buried under all those dishes. What a grouch, Henry said. Being chased by a zombie must be bad for your funny bone. Suddenly, Henry stopped and shouted, Ah! This time, kids didn't freak out. You need some new jokes, Henry. Oh, kids, Henry said quietly. It was a voice he used when he didn't want kids to panic. I think you found the sink. Oh, yeah. Kids wasn't going to fall for one of Henry's pranks. What makes you say that? Because you're standing in it, Henry said. Look at your feet. Kids did. Oh, tried to. He couldn't see his feet. They were gone. His sneakers had soaked into the kitchen floor like it was quicksand. I'm sinking, Kid shouted. Ooh, oh my gosh, this is getting scary. Let me take this away. Oh, put it away. Stand there. Okay. Here we go. Oh my goodness. Chapter 5. The kitchen sink. Kid tried to pull his feet free, but he couldn't budge. If anything, struggling only made him sink faster. The floor quickly rose to his chins. Soon he would be sucked all the way down. Henry and the rest of the room were still on solid ground. This was the only part of the kitchen with a squishy spot. That must be what Mr. Seagam note meant by the kitchen sink. It sinks. Nothing. Oh my goodness. Henry said. It's some kind of sinkhole. The floor was up to Kit's knees now. He was like sliding into taffy. Henry, help me, he yelled. Thinking fast, Henry tied two crusty dishes towels together and tossed one end to Keats. He grabbed it and Henry pulled. Just as Keats started to climb up, his foot bumped into something. There's something jam in here, Keats said. Wait. Water. With one hand still on the towel rope, Keats reached into the spongy floor. There was a gurgle as he yanked out the small scepter, like a king might carry. Only this one had a light bulb screwed into the top. Keats flung the rod to Henry. He put it on the counter so he could keep pulling. Maybe that's what this is. That's the one with the light bulb at the end. That's what they need to use for the shark-headed zombie. Why is this falling? But crawling out of the sinkhole was getting harder. When Keats had tugged the rod free, it was like unclogging the drain in a bathtub. Things started going down the hole faster. The floor began to swirl a little as it spun around Keats. The moving floor made the table tip over, still open to the marked page, and how to stop anything book fell and skidded toward the pit. Oh my gosh, look. Oh no. Are they going down the sinkhole? Who's gonna save them? The spell! Kit let go of the rope with one hand again. He reached for the book, but he was only able to grab one page. The page ripped off his fingers and the rest of the book was sucked into the hole. There was a sound. Suddenly everything stopped swirling. With Henry's help, Kit pulled himself onto solid ground. The book must have plugged up the hole again, Kit said, getting to his feet. He uncrumpled the torn page in his hand. But I saved the spell. Great job, Keats, Henry said, and picked up the rod on the counter. Do you think this is the one Mr. Segan was talking about? Keats eyed it. I thought a magic wand would look different. This is just a goofy stick with a light bulb on top. He shrugged. But in this house it's weird enough to be right. Good point, Henry agreed. Blam! The boys jumped as pounding starting on the wall behind the counter. Kids began to panic again. The zombie's trying to break into the house. It's right on the other side of the wall. Henry tried to calm him down. That works out great, he said. We can try out the one and the spell you found. Kid took a deep breath, then nodded. Only part of the spell, but what do we have to lose, he said. After all, it's called Zappa Zombie. The boys faced the wall where the zombie was pounding. Kid held the spell and Henry held the wand. Okay, Kid said. Step 1 says that we have to stand on one foot. The boys did. Kid was a little more wobbly than Henry. Kid read step 2. Now wave the wand. Henry did. What's next? I don't know, Kid answered. We're supposed to do something, but step 3 is missing. I don't know what the words are. You name your background after the guy who wrote the dictionary, Henry said. You like words. Make something up. Kid thought for a second. How about zombie, go up a tree and set us free? That's really strange, Henry said with a nod. But I like it. Henry waved the wand and both the boys said, Zombie, go up a tree and set us free. Kid held his breath. Henry was grinning, waiting for a bang or something big. But nothing happened. The zombie just kept ramming the wall. The boys put both feet on the floor again. Sorry, Kid said, disappointed. We need the real words to make the spell work. It's not just that. Listen. Henry shook the wand again. Kid heard a rattling sound. It was the noise a burned out light bulb makes. Oh no. Look, they're trying so hard. But it didn't work. What's gonna work? Keith said, the bulb is burned out. The one probably can't work with a busted bulb. No problem, said Henry. We'll just get another one. But it was a problem. They looked in the cabinets. There weren't any bulbs there. And the ones in the lamp in the kitchen were all too big. They didn't fit in the one. Hold on, Henry said. I know where we can find a bulb. In the note, Mr. Seagam asked us to bring the box of light bulbs down from the attic. The bulbs are waiting for us. We just have to go get them. Kit felt his stomach flip-flop. If the garden and the kitchen were so creepy, he could only imagine how scary the attic could be. Chapter 6. Oh my gosh. Detour. Wait a second, Henry, Kit said. I just want to make sure I understand your new world's greatest plan. He took a deep breath and asked, you just want to go up the attic to get the light bulbs, bring them downstairs, and use one of them to put in the one so we can zap the zombie with a spell and finish the to-do list so the owner of the house will come back to take us home? I guess that's the plan. Henry laughed at the really long question. He knew Kit was trying to stall. Don't go chicken on me, kids. We can follow my plan. Or we can stay here and wait for our zombie pal. Kit looked at the shaking kitchen wall. The pounding from outside had gotten louder. Cracks were forming in the wall. It wouldn't be long before the zombie broke through. Okay, let's go, Kit said. Henry opened the door on the other side of the room. Behind the door was a hallway. Another hallway, Kit asked. Henry shrugged. I guess that's why Mr. Seagam called this place Hallway House. The hallways was fairly dark. Doors lined both walls. And at the end, they could make out the bottom steps of a winding staircase. Oh, I hate those. It's like the scary movies. Those steps must lead up to the attic, Henry said. Come on. With Kit holding the wand, the boys crept out of the kitchen. After they walked through the doorway, it shimmered. Then it was gone. It seemed totally normal by now, but it also made the hallway even darker. Slowly, the boys made their way down the hall. Ouch, a boy said. Henry chuckled. What's wrong now, kids? I didn't say anything, Kit said. Then who said ouch? Henry asked. I thought you did, Kit said. He took another step. Ouch! A voice said again. Something nipped at Kit's toes. He could feel it through his sneakers. He jerked back his foot. What was that? Kit asked in shock. It's too dark, Henry said. I can't tell. Kit pressed the button for the light on his watch. He aimed the light down at the carpet. There are faces on the rug. Kit yelled. In the dim light from his watch, he could see the pattern in the carpet. Faces as big as oranges were woven into the fabric. The faces were repeated over and over. There was one every 3 inches, and they were moving. Blinking, yawning, frowning. Each face was like the head of a stick figure. They just had eyes and mouth. Looked like something a little kid might draw. Henry crouched down and touched one of the faces. Ouch! The face cried. It bit Henry's finger. He pulled his hand back. Oh no, look at this. I hope you can see all these faces. Look. They're all over the rug. Oh my gosh. Oh jeez. What's gonna happen now? I don't think they have teeth, but that still hurts, Henry said. Why would Mr. Seagam want a carpet like this? Maybe the faces are like the zombie and he doesn't want them here, Kit said. What are we gonna do? We can't go back. We can't go to the attic steps without stepping on the faces. Oh my gosh. Henry frowned and then snapped his fingers. Sure we can, he announced. Just walk on your toes, like this. Henry stood up on the tip of his toes and stepped forward. As Henry moved, he put his toes in the empty spaces between the faces. But they can't even really see that well. Oh my gosh. What are you doing, Minnie? Oh boy. Henry tiptoed farther down the hall. Come on, kids. It's kind of like dancing. That was the problem. Kid wasn't a very good dancer. But he didn't have a choice. Kid got up on his toes. He looked down and started walking carefully on the carpet. His eyes were used to the dark now. As Kid stepped down the faces, they watched him. A couple opened their mouth. They were ready to bite him if he stepped too close. That made it even harder to think about what he was doing. Kid started tiptoeing faster. Soon he was moving so quickly he couldn't stop. If he did, he'll fall over. Waving the one in front of him, Kid pushed past Henry and almost tripped both of them. Then he started to mess up. Ouch, said the face on the carpet as Kid stepped on it. Ouch, said Kid as the face bit his toe. Ouch, another face shouted a bit down. Ouch, Kid cried again. The hall filled with shouts of ouch from faces and kids. Almost there, Henry called over the racket. Keep going. The boys were just a few feet away from the attic stairs, but Kid couldn't make it. A face bit down especially hard on his toe. Kid finally lost his balance and fell sideways. Ah! Kid yelled. He tumbled through a doorway, the wrong doorway. Henry didn't have a choice. He had to follow Kid or they would be separated. I'm coming, kids, Henry shouted. Before the door could disappear, Henry dove after him. This is getting really scary. Chapter 7. The Bookworms. The cousins rolled through the doorway across the room's hard floor, banged to a stop against a bookshelf. Once again, Kit and Henry found themselves lying on their backs, trying to catch their breath. Where are we? Henry asked, sitting up. Kit sat up too. Luckily, he had managed to hold on to the wand. He looked around the room. Bookshelves climbed up the high walls, weird railings that looked like thick tubes moving in and out of the shelves. It's a library, Kit said. He was still a little dizzy from all the tumbling. Henry looked pretty unhappy. Well, I'm glad we're in one of your favorite places, he said, because we're trapped. It was true. The door to the hallway had become a wall after they fell through it, and there wasn't a single door or window in the room. Kids felt lousy. I'm sorry, Henry. We were so close to the attic and getting to the light bulbs. I just couldn't keep my balance. Henry gave him a smile. Hey, don't worry about it, kids, he said. I wanted a tour of the house anyway. Kid smiled too. Then he thought of something. In books, he said, libraries in creepy houses always have secret passages. Henry frowned. Secret passages? Sure, hidden doorways, Kid said. We just have to pull on the right book. And I bet a way out will open up. There are thousands of books in here, Henry said. It can't hurt to try. The cousins got to their feet. They started sliding books on and off the nearest shelf, and nothing happened. Maybe one of the books on the higher shelf would do the trick. Kids climbed up onto the wide railings. It was a little soft, but held his weight. Kids pulled on book after book. Still no sign of a secret door. Suddenly, the railing he was standing on started to move. It twisted and turned under his feet. Kid dropped the book in his hand. He jumped down to the floor. Was that an earthquake? He asked. More like an earthworm, Henry said. A big one. He pointed at what kids had thought was a railing. The thick tube was sliding around with squishy, glooping sounds. Oh, it's a worm. That's not an earthworm. It's a giant bookworm, kids cried. As if to prove kids right, the worm pulled his head out of the nearby book. It didn't have eyes or ears, but his mouth was as wide as a watermelon. The worm chopped down on another book. It tore off part of the cover and chewed slowly, like a cow with a mouth full of grass. Okay, that's huge. Look at that. Oh my gosh, the thing is humongous. And he was stepping on it. Kids looked around the library again. There were at least 6 more giant bookworms tunneling through the books. Each one was as long as a minivan. They must have gone still when the boys burst into the room. But now they seemed to realize the cousins weren't a threat and went back to eating. And they ate. They made gassy sounds like glut, shblut. Oh man, kid said. He pinched his nose. That's totally disgusting. Henry agreed. They don't look dangerous unless they want to stink us to death. Kid started to put back the book he had dropped. Then he noticed the title, Spells. No one needed. He read it out loud. Great, Henry said. He took the book and flipped to the middle. Let's try one. It could help us get out of here. This spell sounds good. It's called Excellent Idea. Wait a second, kid said. We shouldn't mess around with this stuff. But it was too late. Henry was already reading the spell. Put the clock right up there or the yolk will hit our hair. What? I have to read that again. Put the clock right up there or the yolk will hit our hair. Oh my goodness. Bleep. A live chicken popped onto the air in the middle of the library. It was about 6 feet off the ground. It clucked and laid an egg. Henry stuck out his hand and caught the egg before it hit the ground. Flapping its wings, the chicken fluttered to the floor. Are you seeing what I'm seeing? Henry asked. I just made a chicken appear out of the thin air. How cool is that? The chicken started strutting around the library, pecking at the floor. It clucked again. Then with a bleep, the chicken vanished. Kids took the egg from Henry. Well, when we want an omelet, we'll know what to do. How is the spell going to help us against the zombie? Okay, you're right, Henry said. Let's find another one. Before they could look for a more useful spell, kerthong, crash! Kid dropped the egg in surprise. It smashed on the floor. What was that noise? He asked. That was the sound of a hole being made in the kitchen wall, Henry said. You know what that means? For a second, kids couldn't talk. He knew exactly what that sound meant. The shark-headed zombie was inside the house. We're gonna stop and I'll finish in another video. Stay tuned. You think they're gonna get eaten by that shark-headed zombie? Well, somebody is gonna get eaten by me if she keeps eating my boxes. Minnie, get over here. Alright, I'll be right back. I'm going to continue and finish the book so you guys can read the whole thing or hear the whole thing and get Minnie out of my box. Okay, I'll see you in a minute. Be good. Do your homework.